not that I don't want you here. It's something about the way you stare into my...
Hi, hello, how are you? My name is Elijah Vin, and in lieu of some of the recent X-Men castings for the MCU and hopeful upcoming X-Men news, I decided to revisit one of the black sheep of the X-Men movie family, a pandemic baby, the New Mutants, and wow, I have thoughts. Now, in 2020, I went to see this movie on a first date, and I remember not being so hot on it then, but revisiting it 6 years later with more of the superhero knowledge that I have now, this movie, yeah, it's not great. And I think that it had a lot of potential because the characters were solid enough, I guess, but it was really let down by some of the creative choices they took, the liberties, and I feel like they rushed it a lot. Like, I feel like if they'd have taken this movie from 90 minutes to maybe give it 2 hours and 20, I really think this movie would have been like 10 times better than it was. But some of the creative choices just were whack, and I really think they tanked a movie that had a lot of potential for a fan base that has a lot of fans. First thing I really want to say is this movie wasted no time into getting into the meat of the action and the stuff. Literally within the first 30 seconds of the movie, the main character's dad dies. Like, it goes so fast, they don't even give you any room to breathe. A couple of the creative decisions that I really thought were odd were, one, for some reason, Magic, Anya Taylor-Joy's character, is racist. Like, not even like subtly racist. Like, she's like literally and outwardly racist, and it's kind of odd because obviously I'm not an expert on any of this stuff and I don't claim to be, but she says very off-putting things to the main character, which is Native American, like 2, maybe 3 times. Like, the first time I was like, oh, that's a bit weird, but okay, I guess I'll let it go. And then she did it again, and then it was off-putting, and it was weird. And I just kind of feel like, after doing research, this character is not usually like that. That was a fully creative decision by the studio and by the director, which I don't know if that was the right choice, bro. And I might be wrong, but that's what I know of it. And I think that was just the complete wrong way to go. Another creative choice that I really don't feel like made sense, and I did research on this, was the main character, Danny, and the character Rain. Apparently they had a like best friend bonded friendship in the comics and in the writing, but for some reason in the movie they took that and flipped it into a romantic relationship where they are into each other and they have, you know, a bunch of moments together, which is fine in theory, but for the characters and for the movie, I feel like, what are we doing? Why are we changing fundamental parts of these characters that have been around for so long? Like, story changes is one thing, but it's like this and Magic being racist, and it all just doesn't make any good sense to me personally as a viewer. And then another thing was the director of the hospital, in my opinion, maybe because I watch a lot of movies and I see a lot of stuff like this, she felt so obviously evil even from the beginning when Danny was brought in and they were talking. Like, her being so obviously evil, like, her personality didn't even change when the flip came at the end of the movie, and her being like that really took away from the twist that they were really going for. And they wanted you to feel something, but in my opinion, as a viewer there, I felt nothing, because the doctor, she gave that energy from the jump. Like, there was nothing crazy, and I feel like it took away from the overall story. I'm being really negative, so I am going to give a few bright spots that I thought were fine and good in the movie. I really like the ending where, you know, Danny has to come fully to terms with her fears and understand that she can't let them control her, and once she learns to persevere through them, she can then control her mutant powers and save them from the metaphorical and physical now demon bear that they are fighting and trying to survive. I really did like that. I like that a lot. Also, I really did like the use of the powers. I think that the powers of each character were super cool. I think Anya Taylor-Joy's character's powers were dope. Like, her ability to travel into limbo, essentially, and, you know, create a sword, her arm, and down into a sword that she can wield at any time, and her little sock puppet dragon that ends up turning into a real dragon. I think that was super cool. Obviously, the main character Danny's powers are really, really cool. You know, there's a werewolf. Is she a werewolf? I don't want to get that wrong, but okay, just gonna jump in real quick and say she's not a traditional werewolf. She is a human wolf hybrid who can transform, but she's not a technical or traditional werewolf. Sunspot, you know, I've obviously seen him in X-Men 97 and some of the comics. I don't really know much about him, but his powers are dope. And, you know, Charlie Heaton's character, his powers were super interesting. And I think their backstories were good. I just really think the writing brought this down. I did think, I liked the characters themselves. I think that the characters had a lot of potential. And I think that with better writing, they would be, I think some of them at least would be mainstays in an X-Men universe if there ever was one. The reason I really felt like this movie had so much potential was because I really did feel like the story, the plot of this movie itself was really, really good. It was just torn down by the poor writing and the poor creative choices. Like the plot of this young girl going through a traumatic event, being brought to this facility for new mutants to where they're supposed to hone your powers, and she doesn't even know her power yet, but it turns out to be that she manifests people's worst fears and nightmares that they might have had for their whole lives, and the thing that torments them most, and projects of such a vivid, realistic version of that thing that torments that person all over again, over and over and over, until it inevitably kills them. And it's starting to plague the school, and she has to learn to hone that power, stop the visions, illusions that become real, and save the school, and obviously free them from the evil corporation that is keeping them there. Like, the plot is so good in my opinion, but everything around the plot ruins it. Like, it takes it down from maybe an 8 out of 10 movie to, I'm sorry, but like a 3, maybe 2 out of 10 movie. And that's just, I feel like that's just, it's sad, but it is what it is. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this New Mutants review. You know, I'm getting more active on the channel, so if you haven't already, please click the like button, hit the subscribe button, and check back in because new videos every week. Thank you guys so much. Peace.
Yeah, I make decisions to glow. Ridiculous flow, potential to glow. You know, I just do that.